Thank you all for coming. Hi, Rankin.
Hello, thank you for inviting me here.
Will AI come and take all our jobs?
No. No, it will take a lot of jobs, but I think it will also create a lot of jobs. So from my perspective, I'm a photographer. Like literally this stuff is making photographers like me very scared. And instead of being scared 2 years ago when I started to see it kind of like flourish and come into its own and start to get quite good, I was like, shit, I better jump into this stuff or I'm going to get left behind. So instead of like, being fearful of it, what I did was just face it head on. And I created, through the process of using it, I created a magazine with it. And I thought it was going to be, a 100-page magazine. I ended up doing 400 pages, most of it generative from the ground up, asking a ChatGPT at the time questions. And what I realized very quickly was, yes, it's extraordinary at being able to do things that you tell it to do. It's almost endless what you can do creatively with it. But all this kind of like, we're stealing photographs, we're stealing IP, that's not really how it works, first of all. It doesn't really work that way. And yes, it's already done that. So it's like the horse is bolted. So getting upset about the fact that it's done that isn't really going to help. And also the companies that are owning these systems, they're so rich and so powerful, nothing's really going to stop them. So instead of like me going, oh, I'm scared of this, I was like, look, I'm going to jump into this and I'm going to try and see what the positives of it are, and I'm going to try and critique it from use as opposed to, just like a kind of like a Luddite version of like photography. And what I realized very, very quickly was actually if you're a critical thinker and if you're intelligent and if you approach it in a smart way, this is not just a tool, it's like 25 toolboxes that make your work and workflow and what you can do with it like so extraordinary, and it can really, really amplify what your capabilities are. As a photographer, yes, I'm very sad that we've got to this point because I feel that it's going to mean that a lot of photographers aren't going to be working. But at the same time, I think that if you are a photographer and you lend into this, there's so much opportunity that you can make a new business for yourself with it. And that's essentially what I'm doing. So, I'm kind of living a parallel life, which is quite interesting. I'm taking photographs all the time. In fact, I think that AI has made me take photographs more. It's definitely making me write more. But at the same time, I'm making stuff 4 to 5 hours a day, and I'm teaching myself this stuff because I don't want to be the Luddite going, oh, I'm so annoyed that everything's happening with AI, that it just doesn't work. And I think that in a room like this, none of you are going to be left behind. It's like you're all going to be at the front of it. And also, I think that it's so easy to say that it's a negative thing. What these guys are doing with this technology is extraordinary. It wouldn't be possible without it. So you've got to also look at it from all angles, and I think that that's what I've been trying to do.
And so through the last, as you said, 2 years, you created this incredible magazine, actually, Fake, which I think was the first time that not only did anyone sort of understand that there's something quite incredible you can do with it, and it wasn't quite as frightening or abstract, but from a kind of qualitative point of view, craft, sort of taste, it wasn't like, it didn't look like a kind of crappy, I mean, I don't know what a crappy AI-generated magazine looks like, but a really high quality, stylish, if we didn't know, you'd just go, fucking hell, forget hunger. He's just done
at the end of it. At the end of it, I actually write in the last letter. I say, imagine if I just pretended I'd done all of this on my own, because you would have literally thought I had, because it was at that level of quality. And I think that the craft is shifting. It's the sands are shifting in what you can do with this stuff. And and like even at the weekend, I started playing with Sora 2, and I started playing with something called Open Art, which is amazing. And the thing is that it's not just like, a lot of people go, oh yeah, you just learn this one thing, like how to prompt ChatGPT. and I'm probably talking to a room that you all know that that's not the case. You're jumping between these things like 100 different times. You know, iterations, like prompting is iterations. It's like the resilience that you have to get to that point. And almost learning it to bend it. So the way I think about it is, as an art, let's say we call me an artist, I'm pushing at the boundaries of it, trying to generate stuff that no one's ever seen before. And it did take me 2 years, but I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, actually, in terms of taste, I'm going, I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before. So I've gone through the part where I can literally make a magazine that looks and feels and reads as good as a proper analog, let's say analog magazine, like a digital analog magazine. But I'm now getting to the point where I'm making things going, whoa, this is like something that I've never seen before. The only problem with that is that it's very hard to get noticed with that stuff because there's so much crap, because so much crap's being produced by all the people that are using it at the lower level.
And so given that democratic constant outpouring of stuff, of which we're used to through digital media, social media, like at some point you have to have an off switch, or you've got to, pause and go, where does, I'm not saying it's just about humans and computers, but at some point, what do you do to bring the analog and the human kind of edge to what you do back in?
I think
it's not all AI.
No. I mean, the main thing I say is that it's not an AI that's coming for your jobs. It's an AI and a person that's coming for jobs. It's like AI with people is what's going to make amazing things happen. AI on its own is it's writing really bad emails that you can tell. It's writing really awful speeches for like some really important people. And it's really like at that low level, if you're not using it intelligently, but also if you're listening to it give you the platitudes until you're a genius and giving you a bit of a God complex, you're effectively going to be hoodwinked by it. So you have to come at it with that kind of, you need to keep your feet on the ground as a human to be able to bring the human out of the machine. Like you hear people saying, oh, it's great. It's like having an assistant that doesn't sleep, doesn't eat, doesn't complain. But actually, I've started to use it more as a collaborator, and I use different systems for different collaborations. It's like each system gives you something that's literally similar to what a human will give you, a personality, slightly different approach to each problem. And I think that that's the bit where if you treat it with respect in a way, the kind of like what's amazing is also what's dangerous about it. So you've got to treat it with respect and not listen to it. Like when I first started using it, I was like, why does it keep telling me I'm a genius? Like, I'm sure you've all, and it's lovely to hear that, but the contrary, I'm from Glasgow originally, the contrary in me is like, I'm not a fucking genius. Like, why is it telling me, I mean, I'd love to be a genius, but you know, if you listen to that, that's where we get to kind of like, bad things happening. And also other people are saying, this is another thing that I find fascinating. People are going, oh, it's not based on social media. I'm like, it's entirely based on the whole way it's been set up is based on addiction and kind of feeding that addiction. So having used it, like the way I actually do survive using it is I do real things. And those real things like writing and reading and going for a walk with the dogs it actually energizes me to use it, because when you do use it, I'm sure if any of you are using it more than 3 or 4 hours a day, which I am, it sucks the soul out of you. So you've got to like have a kind of like balance to it.
And so from that broader context,
I
just want to talk more about what everyone's seen today and this kind of idea of multiple use of product and kind of regenerative value.
Yeah.
And photography, as I said earlier on, would not be the obvious place to start, because sometimes the picture's done, that's it goes in the album.
Yeah.
But I think when you take the secondary market for most products, and then take the obvious one, pair of jeans, everyone talks about like second skin, it's got a story, it's got emotion, it's got your whole kind of like, you can remember where you got it, where you were when you wore it at a concert, whatever. That emotion is now possible to imbue into a product, right?
Yeah.
We've seen downstairs that each product comes with its own kind of like biography.
Yeah,
where
DNA.
The laces, the shoe, everything else, which I think is really interesting in reflection to what I know about you and your work, because you have, for all the incredible work you've ever done, you've always actually championed the imperfection. You know, you've loved creating tension, emotion. Your photography has not been just the perfect picture. Actually, the media's obsession with perfection is a problem, and you've always fought against that, which is why I think your work's always stood out. How do you see that playing in your sector, in the creative sectors generally now, given that there's what we've just seen?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think what's great about the brand, Pentatonic, I think what's great about you guys is it's like authenticity, right? So, like, that's what people buy. They buy authenticity. They don't, they might buy luxury for whatever specific reason, if we market it in a certain way, if we kind of make it desirable. But actually, what people are really craving, especially when you think of AI, depleting and kind of making our connection with each other more narrow. So, you know, if you're talking, and instead of talking to therapists, you're talking to AI. Instead of talking to your best friend, you're asking AI. So authenticity is going to have such a premium in the next 10 years, I think. Photography, real photography is going to have a premium. Real photography by really good photographers is going to have a premium. And I think that what's really interesting is that who owned these Nikes or what, you know, whatever it was, it's going to be like, oh, that's a story, and then I'm going to have my own story with it, and I'm going to have my story with it. And what I've been doing with my own photography, which has been the kind of most interesting sort of journey I've taken with artificial intelligence, is I've been putting my own work back into the machine and confronting the machine with my own work and going, okay, this is like fucking A-list like photography. What can you do with this that can make it more interesting, make it more, you know, pushing the boundaries of what a visual can be. And I've been finding myself, it took me sort of 10 months to get there, where I was going, how do I push this and take it further and take it further? And I think I pushed through that by just generating, playing with what I could do with it. So first of all, I was taking photographs and making them bronzes and statues and Beninis, and then I just did a whole kind of tour of the art world. I did, you know, a little bit of Caravaggio, I did a little bit of Picasso, I just went through all of it and went, but then there was a point where I was going, well, where, if you go through that, where do you get to? Like, and you're generatively going, you're getting better, you're getting better, you're getting better, you're putting your image through maybe 3, 4, 5 generations, and by the 5th generation, you're going, this is like something I've never ever made or thought about before. And what's brilliant about that is that whole kind of debate and discussion around IP or authenticity, or like this is just being created with pixels, suddenly takes on a new meaning, because actually by the 5th generation of one of my photographs, you can't really argue that it wasn't my image, because it is my image. It's my image is the source, therefore there's a trace of me and my authenticity within that. And I think that that's the bit where I'm like, okay, right now we're into a place where if you're, say you're a brand and you're making an ad campaign, like, should you be changing someone's ethnicity, or should you be changing, you know, like, everyone talked about Photoshop when it first came around, changing things. With AI, you literally can change everything. You can change what they're wearing, you can change what they look like, you can change the color of the eye. You can do things that beyond Photoshop, and you can do them in seconds. I think what's going to be more interesting is what you can do with, take a picture, and what you can then take with the authenticity, the imperfections, the things that aren't quite right, and where you can sort of build on that and have a story that goes through. And I think that for brands, for example, you know, you can now take a photograph, and I don't know how many of you know this around the room, and you can bring it to life and give it a 15, 20, 30 second, I'm sure you're doing it all the time. You can bring it, you can make it speak, you can pretty much make it do whatever you want. And financially, that's obviously very interesting to lots of CFOs. But in terms of creatively what that means you can do, that, yeah, the financial aspect makes it a bit cheaper to do it, but it also gives you absolutely, unbelievably, like, endless, like, I mean, limitless possibilities with what the technology can bring to the table. So, and I think that that's where I get dead excited, and it's really weird, because I've been working with a few brands with AI, and one brand will, you know, say, oh, I want to do a version of this ad for, you know, a different territory, and I just want to change the main character. And I'm like, that's not really ethically the right thing to do. Whereas if you want to bring someone to life, or you want to do, you know, like make them dance or make a music video, as long as you've got their permission to do that, and as long as they've signed up for that, that's what's extraordinary. So I think that we're really at the kind of, if you imagine we're like climbing the Mount Everest of AI, we're not even on the first, you know, the first slopes, right? We're just at the beginning of it. And I think that to not be involved, or not to shun it, or to say it's just a tool or it's just a nice extra added thing, it underestimates the potential of what you can do. And one of the things I learned from making Fake, from going from Fake to making more work, was like the minute I went like that, and instead of going, oh, what can I do with it that looks what I already do, looks like what I already do, and I was like, well, I did it, boom, 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 here it is. It looks exactly how I would have made it. But then when I went, what else can I do with it? And then suddenly the possibilities of it opened up. And that's where I think everybody start thinking about it in terms of actually how can this add to the process of whatever each one of us does, and start using it almost as a kind of, like almost as a bit of a punching, like have a fight with it. You know, go into your systems and put in, I do not want you to ever agree with me. I want to be challenged all the time. Or even put that into your prompts that come up. Just ask it specifically to challenge you. And when you start to get it to challenge you, that's when you actually start to use it in a way that becomes productive for you. And I think that's the, you know, that's what anybody in any business will say. If you're challenged as a leader, as a business owner, or as an entrepreneur, the best work comes out of the challenge. The least good work comes out of everybody sitting around going, oh, it's so good, it's really great. So that's how I'm using it.
Thank you very much.
No, pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.